Video of Finnish Prime Minister partying sparks outrage and applause. Germany's Bild newspaper named Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin the coolest politician in the world last week, calling the 36-year-old leader casual, modern and self-confident as she navigates the threat from Russia and also attends music festivals with her friends. But now that reputation appears to have landed her in hot water after footage of Marin partying at a private event was leaked online. In a series of clips posted to Instagram which emerged on Wednesday, Marin and other partygoers are shown bopping along to Finnish pop music, and when the beat drops, they break out into dance. The room is coated in the purple haze of neon party lights which illuminate Marin as she hugs friends, kneels on the floor and sings along to songs. As the video circulated online this week, some critics called her behavior childish, while others accused her of not staying focused on Finland's cost of living crisis. But many others paused and asked, what's all this fuss? Analysts say that Marin's age and gender and the intersection between the two make her a particular target for criticism in a world led mostly by older men. I have a family life, I have a work life, and I have free time to spend with my friends, pretty much the same as many people my age, Marin said Thursday, the BBC reported. She said the videos were private and filmed in a private space. I resent that these became known to the public, Jaydaa quoted her as saying. It wasn't the first time Marin, a member of Finland's Social Democratic Party, has been caught partying. In December, she apologized for another incident in which she stayed out at a Helsinki nightclub until 4 a.m. without her cell phone. While she was out, an alert was sent to Marin's phone to let her know she was a close contact of someone who tested positive for the coronavirus. She did not end up contracting it though. Her political rival seized on the new videos this week, calling on Marin to undergo voluntary drug screenings. The people are also allowed to expect this from their prime minister, said Mikko Karna, a member of parliament from the Centre Party. Marin fired back, telling local outlet Yle that she was willing to take a drug test. I have not used drugs myself or anything other than alcohol. I've danced, sung and partied and done perfectly legal things, she added. An editorial in Finland's Helsingin Sanomat newspaper argued that her partying was a security risk. The Prime Minister can, in insensitive situation, put the weapons of information warfare in the hands of those who would like to hurt Finland, the editorial said. There may be more leaks, if not now, then at the next party. Marin was the world's youngest sitting national leader when she was elected in 2019 at the age of 34. Her victory placed her in a small but powerful group of presidents and prime ministers who were elected in their 30s, including New Zealand's Jacinda Ardern and El Salvador's Nayib Bukele. As Finnish Prime Minister, Marin succeeded Antti, who was born in 1962, and before him, Juha Sipilä, who was born in 1961. Marin was born more than 2 decades later in 1985. Marin's position in the executive office alone disrupts what people have historically been comfortable with in terms of age and gender. Older men Sarah Angen and political scientist at Whittier College said in an email. Bettina Spencer, a professor at St. Mary's College, Notre Dame, said that young women leaders are scrutinized more harshly than their older male counterparts. Young leaders are not taken seriously based on stereotypes about age. Women leaders are not taken seriously based on stereotypes about gender. Young women leaders are especially not taken seriously because of the intersection of their age and gender, Spencer said. As such, they receive harsher scrutiny for any behaviors that reinforce the belief that they may not be serious, and that includes simply dancing with friends at a private event, she said. But not everyone was critical of Marin for letting loose, and instead applauded what they said was the Prime Minister proving when you work hard, you can play hard. Someone else on Twitter asked, is Sanna Marin the only chief executive on earth to have documented France? What a tragic surprise. NBC News correspondent Richard Engel announces death of 6-year-old son who had Rett Syndrome. Richard Engel, NBC's news chief foreign correspondent, shared sad news Thursday that his 6-year-old son Harry has died. Engel and his wife has been open about the child's battle with a rare genetic condition. Our beloved son Harry passed away, Engel wrote on Twitter. He had the softest blue eyes and an easy smile and a contagious giggle. We always surrounded him with love and he returned it and so much more. Harry, who was born in September 2015, was just an infant when his parents first realized he was not reaching developmental milestones, according to a tribute for Harry, Texas Children's Hospital's website. Through a genetic test, doctors learned he had a mutation to his MECP2 gene. The mutation causes Rett Syndrome, a disorder that typically affects girls after their first birthday, robbing them of learned skills and leaving them with cognitive deficit, loss of speech, and a variety of motor difficulties, the hospital said. Harry had been treated at Texas Children's Hospital's Duncan Neurological Research Institute since 2018. The institute's Dr. Huda Zogby, who studied Harry's mutation, called him special in so many ways. His loving and endearing smile and the way he connected with his eyes stole my heart from the time I met him, Zogby said in a statement. His quiet fight against this terrible disease was incredible. What is most amazing, however, is the impact Harry had on so many of us at the Duncan NRI and on our Rett research. We will continue to push as hard as possible to develop treatments. This is how we will honor his life. In another tweet on Thursday, Engel said researchers are making amazing progress using Harry's cells to help cure Rett syndrome so others don't have to endure this terrible disease. Engel has shared updates on Harry over the years, writing essays in 2018 and 19 about both the joys and heartbreaks the family experienced. In the later essay, Engel shared he finally got a daughter for his son. It was a long time coming, which made it all the sweeter, an unexpected reward, he wrote. At the end of May, Engel had tweeted a video of Henry writing that he had taken a turn for the worse. His condition progressed and he has developed dystonia, uncontrolled shaking stiffness, he shared. He was in the hospital for 6 weeks but is now home and getting love from brother Theo. CNN is cancelling its Sunday media affairs show Reliable Sources, and host Bryan Stelter is departing the network, Stelter tells NPR. In a statement to NPR, Stelter says he's grateful for the show and his team's examination of the media, truth, and the stories that shape our world. It was a rare privilege to lead a weekly show focused on the press at a time when it has never been more consequential, Stelter said, promising to say more on Sunday's show, its final episode. Stelter got his start blogging about cable news as a student and went to become a media reporter for the New York Times. Reliable Sources is the longest running show on CNN. Stelter has hosted it for the past 9 years and celebrated the show's 30 years anniversary in March. CNN chief Chris Licht informed Stelter of the decision yesterday. Licht has been making cuts throughout the network since taking the helm as part of Warner Bros. Discovery's takeover of the all-time Warner company. The network pulled the plug on its standalone digital platform, CNN Plus, for which it had hired former NPR host Audie Cornish and former Fox News host Chris Wallace before it had been launched. Stelter, who often touted the show's ratings on Twitter, was among those CNN hosts targeted for frequent criticism from conservatives for his coverage of the media during Trump's years. Among those publicly joining in on the broader criticism of CNN as having become politicized with the investor John Malone, a major financial stakeholder of the new Warner Discovery conglomerate. During an episode in February, Stelter cited Malone more than a dozen times in coverage of the Discovery deal for CNN and its sister property, expressing some concern about the investor's influence. Stelter came to CNN from the New York Times as the nation's top media reporter. He departs CNN an impeccable broadcaster, said Amy Entelis, CNN Executive Vice President for Talent and Content Development. We are proud of what Bryan and his team accomplished over the years, and we are confident their impact and influence will long outlive the show. Stelter often chronicled the rhetorical wars over politics, its reporting, and even facts, ramping up the intensity of his periodic commentaries during former President Donald Trump's tenure. It earned him recurring criticism from pro-Trump figures and taunting from Fox stars Greg Gutfeld and Tucker Carlson. Stelter also covered CNN's shortcomings but was seen as a loyal team player under former CNN chief Jeff Zucker. As Stelter later conceded, he was slow to recognize the depth of the ethical problems posed by former CNN stars Chris Cuomo in advising his brother, the governor of New York, on how to handle accusations of sexual harassment. A corporate spokesperson confirmed the show's demise and said the network wished Stelter well in his future endeavors. The show began under veteran Washington correspondent Bernard Karp and continued under the longtime media reporter Howard Kurtz. Kurtz now hosts a show with a similar format on Fox News called Media Buzz, which will become, at least for now, the only major national television show analyzing the news business and journalism. In his time at Fox, Kurtz has rarely held his own network to account. Dragon Ball Super Superhero is deluxe fan service. In the latest Dragon Ball outing, directed by Tetsuro Kodama and written by the series creator Akira Toriyama, the menacing villain is a pair of state-of-the-art androids. Between the original Dragon Ball and its sequel series Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super, the popular anime franchise encompasses well over 600 episodes and 24 theatrical features, but the stories reliably follow a simple arc. Some menacing villain appears, threatens the planet's takeover or destruction, and fights our irrepressible heroes, including Goku, voiced by Sean Schemmel in the English dub, Vegeta, Christopher Sabat, and Gohan, Kyle Hebert. In Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the latest Dragon Ball outing, directed by Tetsuro Kodama and written by the series creator Akira Toriyama, the menacing villains are state-of-the-art android Gamma 1, voiced by Alex Lee, and Gamma 2, voiced by Gino Robinson, who have been built by an evil conglomerate called the Red Ribbon Army with the express purpose of overcoming our heroes. Gohan and the Namekian warrior Piccolo, also Sabat, upgraded to top billing, are responsible for the Earth defense, while the usual series leads Goku and Vegeta are sidelined training on a distant planet. Gohan and Piccolo square off against the android and summarily outclassed until, of course, they power up and transform and inevitably fend off their foes. Dragon Ball formula is repetitive and predictable, but it's difficult to overstate how exquisitely gratifying that formula can be. Dramatic transformations from Saiyan to Super Saiyan, when a hero's hair explodes into a luminous flare of yellow gold and their muscles swell and bulge, outragely never fail to exhilarate, and recent advances in animation, which combine the styles of classical anime illustrations with flourishes of computer-generated effects, have only made every punch, kick, and super-powered attack more vivid and spectacular. The battles in Dragon Ball have always been drawn and staged with thrilling gusto. In Dragon Ball Superhero, they look better than ever. I'm not sure what kind of impression this is likely to make on series newcomers. The film is clearly intended for fans whose knowledge of these characters and the continuing adventures borders on encyclopedic and references to the events of earlier films and series in the franchise. From Dragon Ball 1986 to Dragon Ball Superpower Broly 2018 are deployed with casual frequency. But for this critique, who has been following Dragon Ball diligently since his teenage years, the fan service only added to the esoteric charm.